Assalamu alaikum. We will give another 2 minutes, just waiting for more people to join, and we'll start at 2:05 inshallah. بسم الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في البداية نرحب بالجميع في هذه الجلسة الحوارية لعرض أداء الشركة خلال ال9 أشهر الأولى من العام الحالي 2025. أولا أعرف بنفسي سيف بن سعيد الحمحمي، رئيس تنفيذي لشركة أبراج لخدمات الطاقة. نشكر لكم اهتمامكم ومشاركتكم لنا في هذه الجلسة الحوارية، ونحن اليوم مستعدون لعرض واستعراض وتوضيح أداء الشركة وإجابة تساؤلاتكم، وملتزمين بمبدأ الشفافية ومشاركتكم أداء الشركة وسير أعمالها. أيضا نثمن دور بورصة مسقط في تنسيق هذه الجلسة الحوارية ودعمها المتواصل لتسهيل التواصل بين الشركاء والمستثمرين. هذه الجلسة تتكون من هذه الجلسة تتكون من جزئين رئيسيين. الجزء الأول عبارة عن استعراض لأداء الشركة التشغيلي والمالي في ال9 أشهر من هذا العام، والذي سيلقيه المدير التنفيذي والمدير المالي أيضا. والجزء الآخر سيكون عبارة عن فقرة مفتوحة للإجابة عن أسئلتكم واستفساراتكم. سيقوم الفريق التنفيذي الحاضر اليوم بالإجابة عليها، وبعد قليل سأقوم بالتعريف بفريق الإدارة التنفيذي الحاضر في هذه الجلسة للتفاعل معكم والإجابة عن استفساراتكم. العرض سيكون باللغة الإنجليزية، وذلك لوجود مستثمرين أجانب من داخل وخارج السلطنة، ولكن فريق الإدارة التنفيذية كما ترون فريق عماني ومستعد للإجابة عن أي سؤال باللغة العربية. سيفتح المجال لأخذ الأسئلة في آخر الجلسة، الرجاء الانتظار للآخر لبعد عرض الشرائح لطرح الأسئلة. الجلسة ستكون مسجلة وسوف تتاح لاحقا في موقع الشركة وفي موقع بورصة مسقط. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet with you today in this investor engagement session to present the company performance in the last 9 months of this year, 2025. My name is ش.م.ع.ع, CEO of ABRAJ, and today I have the executive management available to present the company performance and to answer your queries. And shortly, I will introduce the team who is present in today's session. The presentation will be in English, as we have foreign investors joining us from both inside and outside the country. However, we are more than happy to take any question or clarify any point in Arabic if needed. I would like to welcome and thank you for participating in this session. I would like to also thank MSX for their continuous support and for enabling the dialogue between us and the investors and for facilitating this session. Please note that the meeting will be recorded. It will be available later in the company website and MSX website for your reference. We have prepared a set of slides to reflect on the company overall performance and in the last 3 quarters. The structure of the session will be divided into 2 parts. The first part will be a presentation that will be co-presented by the CEO and the acting CFO. And the second part will be an open Q&A session to take all your questions. We anticipate about 30 to 40 minutes for the presentation, and we will leave the remaining time for the Q&A. So before we start, we'd like to make the following disclaimer for you to note about today's session. As I mentioned, the session will be recorded and will be available both on ABRAJ and MSX websites for reference later on. The content has not been approved by any regulatory or supervisory authority. We don't intend to make any forward-looking or forecast statements. The session should be taken in the spirit of engaging and updating the investors on the overall company business dimensions and its performance in the last 3 quarters of this year. So before I start, I would like to introduce the management who are present in today's session. I introduce myself, ش.م.ع.ع, the CEO of ABRAJ. I have with me Sadiq Al-Lawati, the acting CFO, who will also present the financial performance of the company in the last 9 months. Alongside both of us, we have the Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Zahran Al-Kindi, who can also support and answer your queries from the business, and also the Chief People Officer, Mr. Hilal Al-Siyabi. Next. So this is an overall structure of the presentation. First, we will give you an overview about the company, the market position, and the operations. We'll talk a little bit about the HSC as an enabler for our operations. We will dig deep into our operations, the main 2 segments, the drilling and workover, and the well services, and their performance in the last 9 months. We will touch on the human capital and the corporate social responsibility, the ICV content as well. We will also talk about the backlog of orders and the market share of the company and the last 9 months and a bit of an outlook. The second part, there will be a deep dive into the financial performance of the company. We will conclude with an outlook and closing remarks at the end. So first, the market position and operational excellence. So as you are aware, ABRAJ is the premium OFS company in Oman, the Omani company. We hold the majority of the drilling market share in Oman with 25%. That constitutes 25 drilling rigs and 5 workover units. As you are aware, we started our first international operations in 2024 with 2 rigs. So that takes our count to 27 rigs. We have other segments. We have the well services. We also have the cementing services for the oil field, hydraulic fracturing, and other standalone operations. The product lines, they amount up to 10 product lines. In terms of the operational excellence, ABRAJ has one of the youngest fleets in the country and the region, with an average rigs age of 9.5 years and workover of 12 years. In terms of well delivery, up to year, over 200 wells have been delivered. We do serve 8 clients currently. That includes both IOC and NOC, international oil operators, and national oil operators. Some of the key highlights of the company is the low MPT, which is non-productive time, which is the breakdown time, which we managed to maintain well below 1%, well below the international accepted threshold that ranges between 2 to 3%. So that has boosted our performance, the client trust, but also has reflected positively in our financials, as you will see later on. A slight lowlight year to date is the rig utilization at 84%. This is lower than the previous year, and you might have seen the impact of that on the top line, on the revenue. However, as I mentioned, when it comes to operational excellence, we managed to close the gap, and we have matched, and we are, looking to even exceed what we have done when it comes to the bottom line in terms of financials. In terms of the headcount, we have over 2,600 employees from over 20 nationalities, and we continue to maintain high humanization, over 90%. In terms of HSC, we continue the strong HSC performance in the company as an enabler for our operations and to reflect on our sustainability efforts. We did have a few HSC issues during the year, some isolated incidents. You can see we had 3 lost time injuries year to date that have been thoroughly investigated with recovery plans in place, mainly due to human factor and fatigue. And these have been addressed with recovery plans going forward. In terms of HSC management system and the audits, we continue to uphold the highest standards to ensure that we have safe working environment for our employees, and ensuring that we have the medical fitness and the work compliance across all our units, both in Oman and outside. Next. In terms of the operations, first we will talk about the drilling rigs performance. Despite the low utilization compared to last year, as you can see, it was 84% year to date for the first 3 quarters, compared to 97% in 2024. Yet we have surpassed the well delivery. As you can see, we delivered 97 wells versus 89 in the last year, and that is due to the higher efficiency and also lower breakdown. As you can see to the left, that we managed to maintain the MPT and beat our previous record. Last year, 8.84 was a record, and we beat it year to date with 0.74. That means higher efficiency and better well delivery for the clients. And that is also reflected in the customer satisfaction. If you see the plot towards the far right, we continue to engage with our clients to get their feedback. And this is very important when it comes to the drilling business. It's a high risk business where the operators, they want to work with responsible companies to ensure that the welfare of the people is well protected, the HSC and the sustainability efforts. So we continue to operate within the global benchmarks with continuous improvement. In terms of the stacked rigs, we had 4 rigs stacked year to date. However, we managed to secure 2 long-term contracts for 2 of those rigs, and ongoing efforts are underway to utilize the remaining stacked rigs, in addition to acquire more scope. Rig 305 with BP has already started the operation at the beginning of this month, beginning of November. And rig 301, we have contracted it as our 3rd rig that will be upgraded to a 3,000 horsepower rig that will join the Kuwait operations. We anticipate the start of the operation towards end of Q1 or somewhere in Q2 in 2026. Next slide. One of the key highlights as well in improving our bottom line is the performance of the well services segment. So we continue to utilize our units. The cementing segment have been achieving high utilization, but also have positioned itself on the high-end jobs with the clients. We talk about the high pressure, high temperature scope, which comes with higher margins. So even with the same top line, you see higher margins translating on the bottom line. On the hydraulic fracturing, we also continue to utilize it with various clients. MPT was a little bit higher due to the higher utilization, but again, this is well within the accepted thresholds. Next slide. So when it comes to the human capital, we have a responsibility towards ensuring that we have maintaining high humanization levels. So we're maintaining it at 93.2 versus 92.5 in 2024. We still maintain a good blend of international expertise to support our operations, both in Oman and Kuwait, and that will still continue as part of the diversity in the company. In terms of training, we have provided over 80 internship opportunities during the year for training in the different departments, both the technical and also the support departments. When it comes to the corporate social responsibility, we have committed and approved a budget of 150,000 Omani Riyal to be spent in 2025. We are well within, achieving that target, and we are close to consuming it. You can see the pie chart towards the left, a distribution on the categories that we have dispensed the CSR amounts, ranging from education to community engagement to technology and innovation, environment, talents, and youth empowerment. And we have a governance to facilitate the expenditure of this corporate service responsibility budget. Next. Similarly, as we mentioned, we have a commitment as a national champion to support in-country value and to support SMEs. And we are happy to report that our spend have been boosted, almost doubled in 2025 to 30% compared to 17% in 2024. And this is going directly to SMEs and taking those SMEs and empowering them to get into the high-end services of the industry. Similarly, our ICB index has been boosted from 60% to 71%. We're happy to share some numbers. The SME spending was 3.6 million riyals only in Q3, and year to date over 11 million, 11.5 million Omani Riyal to be more specific. And the overall ICB spending in Q3 was 10.3 million Omani Riyal, and year to date it's over 44 million Omani Riyal. And one thing to note here, that there is no cost impact on the company, as those companies have managed to give competitive prices to international suppliers and vendors. And that was through the empowerment and engaging the SMEs to ensure that they give quality, on-time services and goods, but also they are competitive when it comes to the prices. So it's a win-win for both both companies or both parties. So we will continue that effort, and in recognition of the company efforts on ICB, I'm happy to share that last week we were awarded the ICB local content certificate. This is the first certificate to be awarded by or PAL under the umbrella of the Ministry of Energy and Minerals, and the first company to achieve it and to receive this number of 0001 was ABRAJ, and that is a reflection of the company commitment and achievement and in empowering and supporting the local content, but also ensuring that they are competitive on the global stage. So when it comes to the order backlog, one of the key highlights in 2025 was the backlog and the market share of the company. As you can see in the top left plot, the order contracts order backlog was around 460 million Omani Riyal in Q3. By end of Q3 2024, we managed to almost double that by Q3 2025. A lot of excellent efforts by the team to secure long-term contracts for our units, to reutilize the stacked units, but also we managed to add new scope. As you have seen in our previous disclosures, we announced the addition of 6 new rigs with the PDO. We also secured a contract with BP, and also we managed to secure a 3rd rig contract with our client in Kuwait. So we look to, at the moment, we are under construction or manufacturing 7 rigs. That will be deployed in 2026 and 2027. The Kuwait rig, we look at Q1, Q2 next year, and towards Q3 and beginning of 2027, we will start deploying the 6 rigs with PDO. Furthermore, there are a lot of opportunities that we are working on and engaging with various clients, both in Oman and outside, to ensure that we have a healthy backlog and to deliver a growth basically to the company. In terms of the backlog by segment, the drilling continues to be our dominant product line, and it's growing. But we are also growing on the other segment, which is the well services. And when it comes to the market share, we continue to maintain a high market share, 25% in the drilling, 22% in the hydraulic fracturing, and 17% in the cementing, which is compared to the others, it is in the top 3 in the market share when it comes comparing to other companies in the country. That includes also international oil field service companies. So the outlook is positive. Here's also some more highlights just to give you. We had in terms of international expansion, we signed a term sheet to establish a strategic partnership with Sonatrach in Algeria to expand our operations there. Also, in terms of major contract wins, we got a contract with BP to redeploy Rig 305, which started the operation in November. And also we got other contracts from ARA and also from ARA. And the main or the major highlight was the 6 rigs, new rigs that will be deployed to PDO, as I mentioned, end of 26, beginning of 2027. So we anticipate some growth coming to the company, and more opportunities are being developed as we speak. In terms of extension, we managed to secure good extensions with PDO for 3 rigs, 5 years contract extension for all our rigs with Oxy, 4 rigs, and 1-year extension with Medco. So we look at the outlook is positive. And as I mentioned, we were a bit impacted with the lower utilization this year. That impacted a little bit on the top line, but we managed to compensate that on the bottom line with operational excellence, with efficiencies, and focusing on high margin jobs. I will hand over now to my colleague, Sadiq Al-Lawati, acting CFO, to take us into detail with the financial performance.
Assalamu alaikum. I'll take you through the financials for the first 9 months of 2025, comparing them with the last year, first 9 months 2024. With regard to the revenue declined by 5%, mainly due to the stack rigs in Oman, which is partially offset by strong well services performance, mainly in cementing. EBITDA, despite the lower revenue, we managed to maintain our 34% EBITDA percentage. That reflects the actions taken to improve cost efficiency and promote disciplined expense management. Year-on-year PAT dropped by 1 million, primarily due to the lower revenue from stack rigs and reduced activities in frac. However, that was partially offset by the strong cost control and operational efficiencies that help us to minimize the impact, positioning the company for improvement profitability going forward. Next slide. With regard to the cash flow year-on-year, we started the year by 5.5 million compared to 8.1 million. The operating activities declined due to capital movement and lower revenue. Investment was lower year-on-year compared to last year, reflecting partially wave 3 capital expenditures payments, plus also the second rig that was deployed last year in Kuwait. Financial activities year-on-year, financial cash flow decreased due to higher term loan proceeds used for funding wave 3, the 3 rigs that we have to be delivered end of 2026, and 3 rigs to be delivered by Q1 2027. Also, the upgrading of 301 to be 401 in Kuwait, and that should be starting by Q1, end of Q1 or early April 2026. Regarding to the capex, higher spend on commissioning new rigs in 2024. That was the second rig that we deployed in Kuwait, compared to the advanced rig, basically to support the wave 3 rigs that will be commissioning next year, and the 3 in 2027. Net debt to EBITDA ratio increased from 1.36 to 1.98. That's mainly due to higher leverage and lower EBITDA. This remains aligned with our capital structure strategy and within the industry's norm. I will go now with the segments. Drilling and workover revenue dropped by 8 million year-on-year. That's mainly due to the lower utilization, 84% compared to 94% last year. However, this partially was offset by the strong performance of well services and cementing, which is almost added up almost 2 million in the revenue side. With regards to the EBITDA, drilling and workover slightly declined in Oman Riyal value. However, we still managed to maintain the percentage level at the same levels in the last year. Again, that is driven by the efficiency gains and a strong workover performance. Well services EBITDA improved year-on-year, reflecting the revenue growth and the disciplined cost management that we have driven across all the organization. Thank you. I'll hand over to Engineer Saif to take you through the outlook for the 2025 and 2026 and beyond.
So this is the last slide we have, and it just gives you an outlook on the focus of management and in terms of the growth and the market outlook for the company. So the first primary focus will continue to be the leading OFS company in Oman. We continue to maintain our leading market share for drilling and workover rigs, and we also boost our well services. We continue to maintain the steady growth in both the fracturing and the cementing and coiled tubing segments. Furthermore, we have participated in various tenders with various clients, in addition to the key or positive highlights that we have shown, which has boosted our backlog order book, almost doubling it year to date. There are other good opportunities that we are maturing, and we will disclose in due time if they are successful. As we mentioned, the key highlight included the 6 new rigs award with PDO planned for commencement of operations in end of 2026 and beginning of 2027. The company strategy will also embark on regional expansion. As mentioned, that we have started our international operations in Kuwait last year with 2 rigs, and we managed to successfully secure the 3rd rig. It will be our first 3,000 horsepower rig, and that will be mobilized, inshallah, in Q1 or Q2 2026 next year. And we are well positioned for further expansion in Kuwait as we have acquired pre-qualifications in different product lines. Saudi also will be a focus for us, and currently we are working on the pre-qualification of some of the product lines, and that will continue, and we will disclose if there is any material progress that we have achieved. Also, as we have mentioned, we are in advanced discussions with Sonatrach in Algeria to collaborate on activities such as drilling, cementing, and hydraulic fracturing in Algeria and other product lines. So the outlook is positive. We are finalizing the business plan with our board, and we are looking at the investments that we will be taking in the coming years. And also we have looked at the dividend policy that we will disclose in due time, which will take into consideration the market and investor expectation, and also in a balanced way to ensure that we secure the investments and we have enough to fuel our growth, which is an ambitious growth journey in the coming years, which we will disclose, as I mentioned, in due time once it's approved and taken to the AGM. So this is in summary, overall, good performance of the company, sustainable business, financially sound despite the slight lower utilization in our units, which have been compensated in the bottom line. The outlook is positive with the growth, as you have seen in the backlog, and we do look at even further growth next year and the coming years. Thank you for your time, and we will open up the Q&A shortly. في الختام نشكر لكم استماعكم ومشاركتكم لنا في هذه الجلسة الحوارية، وسنفتح المجال للأسئلة في قادم الوقت. So if you have any question, just if you don't mind, just raise your hand and we will go in order, or you can type it in the chat and we will be happy to answer your questions and queries. Yeah, like 80. Okay. Mr. Abbas?
Yes, thank you. I joined a bit late, so you may have covered this, but can you talk about your utilization levels right now? I know there were some rigs that were cold stacked for a while, and I think there's probably some updates there. So can you talk about your utilization levels both on the drilling and the workover rigs, and I'll come to my next question after that.
Okay. So throughout the year, we had 4 rigs stacked, and we managed to redeploy one of them with BP beginning of November. So as we speak, we have 3 stacked, but out of the 3, one of them is already contracted to Kuwait, and it's currently under upgrade. And we're looking to take it to Kuwait end of Q1, beginning of Q2. So that will leave us with 2 rigs yet to be contracted, but we are advancing. We are having very advanced discussions with various clients for redeployment. So as I mentioned, year to date, it was 4 rigs. Currently, it's 3 rigs. Out of the 3 rigs, one of them is already confirmed with a contract. The other 2 remaining, and we're having good discussions to redeploy them.
Okay. This question, of course, I'm sure people ask you every time, we see oil prices dip below this or close to the $60 mark. and you've been through a few cycles. We've discussed this in some of the other investor sessions, but it's always good to revisit and get confidence from you guys. So, given the recent oil price sort of drop, how do you see your day rates? How do you see your contract shape up? What kind of negotiation are you having with your customer? I've asked this question before, but there's always some nervousness around contractors like Abraj, especially in a low price oil price environment.
Yeah. No, I think regardless of the oil prices, the operators, they will always aspire for cost optimization, and that does not necessarily mean lower margins or lower profits. It means that we cannot be stationary, that we continue to strive to optimize our OPEX, regardless if there is a pressure from the oil prices. Now, with the oil prices, you're correct, the pressure is even more. And we've seen these cycles multiple times. There is no material concern because if you look at the Oman landscape and you compare it to, not only Oman, even the region, and you compare it to the global, we are less sensitive when it comes to rig count, activity count, compared to other regions in the world, especially if you look at the North America. We are much more resilient and less resistant less sensitive to these fluctuations in the oil prices. So what basically happens, we don't see that shift in the scope or reduction in activity. What we see is more pressure from the clients, and that is well understood, well accepted. We sit with them, we optimize our cost, and we come to a win-win, and that is something we do all the time. But then that does not necessarily impact our margins or impact our bottom line profits. But then the trend, and just to give you a bit of a hint, the amount of engagements that we're having now, the trend is getting busy. And that's what we have seen, not only in Oman, but in the region, despite the fluctuations in the oil prices. You have to remember that the margins in the oil industry are very prolific. Despite these fluctuations, the region countries, we are dependent on the oil and gas resources, and the margins are high. So despite these fluctuations, the demand will still continue to be there. What the effect usually happens in the high UTC projects like the unconventionals and the very deep resources. But in general, it's been stable. It's been semi-stable, I would say.
Okay, so if at all you have to look at 26, you're still expecting healthy utilizations along with sustainable margins compared to what we are seeing? Because this year we saw a drop, right, in terms of net profit. So, and there's some nervousness around next year, but
No. So basically, this year you're right. The 4 stacked rigs, they were a carryover from 24. So as I mentioned, 2 of them have already been secured. One of them already started operation. The second one will start in Q1, Q2. Now going forward, we will start the year with 2 rigs stacked, but we have very advanced discussions to reutilize them. The only thing I cannot disclose without officially and formally securing the contracts, then we will disclose in the market whenever that happens. So the outlook from our perspective, and you can see it in the in the contract backlog, is very optimistic. Actually, it's positive. I mean, if you look what we are doing, we were fluctuating between 400 to 500 million. Today we are between 700 to 800 million, with more opportunities to come. And what we have done is that we have set foundations. What we've been working the last couple of years or so, we have been setting foundations that will give us expansion, but also resilience to build on. So we are having a bit of an optimistic outlook, not only for the coming year, but the years to come, inshallah.
Okay, and I wanted to get your comment on this acquisition that happened in Oman in your industry by ADNOC Drilling. Now, is it because with your sort of 30% odd market share, there is no room for you to consolidate? I mean, I was just wondering, given that you are by far the market leader, what were the considerations? Did you consider this this target, or or were you kind of happy sort of growing organically?
I cannot comment on that transaction, but then for us, it is part of it's normal business, and we've seen this in the past. We've seen the acquisition of KCA Dutag last year by HMP. We've seen the acquisition, I remember, Delma and KCA. So these are normal that these acquisitions happen. Of course, they do come with their opportunities and challenges for the competition, but we're geared up for it, and we don't see it very material. It's normal. And I think it's healthy, actually, to have more competition to ensure that we compete at a high level. And you can see it today that we've been entrusted by various clients, including the IOCs, and we managed to penetrate internationally in an organic way, not unorganically. So that just tells you the resilience of the company to compete both in Oman and outside.
Okay. Maybe another couple of questions. I'm sure my colleagues have questions for you. On the debt side, you said you're very comfortable with your covenants. Of course, you are in growth phase, and probably that's why you've seen the debt to EBITDA go up. Now, your new rigs from PDO will only come on stream practically from an EBITDA perspective in 27. So what are we looking at in terms of debt next year? I mean, how much are you planning to take on? How much are you planning to fund it from internal cash flows? Just wanted to get some sense about the cash flows that you generate and how you plan to utilize them.
Yeah, so they will be coming towards the end of 26 and partly in 27. So it will be in between the 2 years, just to give you a bit of a feeling. We will expect to see some of it coming in 26 towards the end, but then the debt.
So with regard to the debt to EBITDA, we'll still ensure that we are in line with the market trends, which is normally 2 times. The expectation is to grow like 2.2 times of the EBITDA. That's what the expectation is. It will be within the market range, basically.
Right, because I'm just trying to make sense of your cash flows, right? Because pretty stable cash flows. In fact, they should go up given that your stack rigs are coming on stream. And I just wanted to see how you plan to sort of use your cash for growth capex versus dividends. And you said that policy is going to be decided maybe in the next AGM. Is that what you said?
Yes, exactly. So that's the balance that we are trying to meet the expectation from the market, as well as to ensure that we have enough cash to fuel our growth plans. Again, we are under the discussion with the board, and we are working with them towards the finalizing it. And inshallah, soon we will come back with the strategy and the policy. But for sure, it will be reflecting the growth as well as the meeting expectation.
Thank you. And my last question is on specifics, because I remember Saif has actually mentioned in the past as well about cutting costs and how that's a conversation that's not necessarily related to an low oil price environment. It's something that, you guys do as business as usual. But specifically, if I had to ask you to specifically address some cost savings initiatives from now to, let's say, in 26, what could they be, just to make sense of where you're looking at to cut costs and maybe increase margins?
So many things. I mean, if you look at the P&L, it's everything. We challenge everything, Abbas. So it's first of all, it is a labor-intensive industry, as you are aware, and so the first thing we'll be looking at the manpower, how we can be smart, how we can be utilizing, multi-skilling our people. So that is one thing we look at. We look at others, smart contracts strategies as well. Enabling more local vendors and suppliers and service providers who have lower overheads, and they retain the value, but they also in the country, but they also can be competitive compared to large organizations, especially international ones. We look at other. I mean, on the finance, we're engaging. We are working with many banks in Oman to look at how we get the best value there in terms of maintenance, in terms of fuel, using technology, mechanization. So it's really across the board. There's not one single element that we only focus on and neglect the others. And it is evolving. It is continuous. It's not something that we resolve today and we stay stagnate at. It's something we always come back and we ensure that we are efficient on. So it's across the board, Abbas. And also sometimes we have healthy engagements with our clients when it comes to the T's and C's as well. Whenever there's a new contract where there is opportunity to still maintain the same quality, same standard, but we can relax some of the T's and C's that will help us in the OpEx with the clients. That is something we also do. So it's multidimensional.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the flow. All the very best to you. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Abbas. So we have some questions in the chat. So maybe we'll go in order. Can you shed some color on current capacities of the rigs in Kuwait? So we have 2 rigs. One of them is 1,000 horsepower. The other one is 1,500 horsepower. And the third rig that we look to deploy next year will be 3,000 horsepower, inshallah. Okay. Do you expect? Okay. All right. So the first question: do we expect any day rate pressure? So the day rate pressure, as I answered this question, is always there, regardless of these movements or acquisitions. Those acquisitions, they don't necessarily, directly result in day rate pressure, because it's just the change of shareholders of our competitors. But then, as I mentioned, this is not the first time it happens in Oman or the region that companies get acquired. The clients, they have the cost pressure, as you are aware. They want to be lean all the time, regardless of these movements or acquisitions. The cost pressure is always there, and we need to maintain our agility and ensure that we are well resourced by having strong, competent people who can manage these transitions. What is the expected revenue run rate from the current backlog of the 2026? It varies. So it's up to 10 years, the backlog. So we disclose, for example, the 6 rigs, for example, with PDO, that they will start in Q4 2026. They will be, coming back to back. They will not all be mobilized at once. These are 6 years. So they will span from end 26, beginning 27 for 6 years. We look at the one from Kuwait that will be deployed in Q1, Q2 next year. That is for the remaining period of the contract of the 5+1. So that is another 4 or 5 years or so. And then we have the extensions, for example, the 4 rigs with Oxy, another 5 years, and then the new rig with BP 3+2. So it really varies up to 10 years. I would say the concentration is 5 to 6 years, but then they span up to 10 years. What is your outlook for the contract renewals or new contracts to come at higher or lower rig rates? And could you please provide your view on demand and supply of rigs? So demand and supply of rigs, as I mentioned earlier, that Oman maintains stable operations despite the fluctuations in the oil and in the oil prices, and we've seen that even during COVID. Now the outlook, there is a movement of higher demand. I can tell you that, and you've seen it in the contracts that we have secured. But there is a lot of discussion happening. Regionally, there is expansion. Kuwait is expanding in its operations, and they will require more rigs and more services. Aramco, they stacked some rigs last year, but we've probably heard that recently they are calling back some of these rigs to go back. So the outlook is at least stable, if not even increasing. So there is a bit of stability in the market despite these fluctuations in the oil prices. Again, it's due to 2 things, mainly the region, the Middle East in general, and Oman very specifically. We are very insensitive compared to the oil prices, to the oil prices compared to other regions in the world, especially the US. And the second reason, the region is dependent on the revenues from the natural resources, and we serve the markets in Asia and nearby who are in high demand for these resources. So there is a semi-stable, if not increasing, outlook in the near future. Can you please clarify what do you mean by back-to-back mobilization of video? Okay, so those 6 rigs, they will not all be mobilized at once in one day. They will be back-to-back within a few months, several months. So they are currently under construction. So realistically, from project management point of view, there's a lot of work that goes into the design, the build-up, the supervision, the shipping, the commissioning, the acceptance tests. So we take them one by one, and we're looking about maybe year and a half, yeah. For all of them, but about 1 month between each rig, plus or minus.
The first 4 about 1 month each, and then the last 2 it will be by Q2 2027.
Okay, so that's the back-to-back. It's just the time between the mobilization of each rig. I hope that is clear, but please do type or raise your hand if that is not clear. Anybody's asking questions? Double check. Okay. All right. So we went through all the questions in the chat box. Please do type if you have any further questions or raise your hand before we conclude the session. إذا حد عنده سؤال باللغة العربية يتفضل، ممكن يكتبه في الشات أو ممكن يرفع ايده ويسأل، وإحنا مستعدين نجاوب أي سؤال أو نوضح أي نقطة عرضناها. Okay, then if no further questions, we will conclude our session. Thank you for your time. We are happy to engage with you, and we will be engaging with you very soon in the coming months to update you on the performance of the company and any progress. But definitely we will keep you posted with any material changes, disclosures in our website and MSX, and we will conclude this session. في الختام نحب أن نشكركم على تفاعلكم ومشاركتكم لنا في هذه الجلسة الحوارية، ونتطلع إلى اللقاء بكم في المناسبات القادمة بإذن الله، وبأي تحديث من الشركة إن شاء الله بنحطه في موقع الشركة وموقع بورصة مسقط. إذا صار أي تحديث خلال الأشهر القادمة بتكون في جلسة حوارية أخرى إن شاء الله نسترجع الأداء الكامل ل 2025 لا تعالى. في الختام نشكر لكم وقتكم وبارك الله لكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
مع مشاعر نفس الوقت مع مشاعر هي تو اونلاين. ايوه